Okay, in part 2 of our slope-intercept form lesson, we are going to talk about how to write equations in slope-intercept form, this time from a graph. So first thing you want to do when you see a graph and you are trying to write it in slope-intercept form, the first thing you want to do is find the slope. So we'll review how to do that. We did that for a few days, so we're going to review how to do that. Then you're going to identify the y-intercept, and then you're going to write the equation in the slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. So really the only two things you need to know are the slope and the y-intercept. And then you can write the equation. So let's take a look at a few examples. Step 1 is to find the slope. So you might remember from the last couple days, finding the slope, you are comparing the difference between the x and the two y coordinates and the two x coordinates. So first thing I like to do when I'm finding the slope is to actually identify what my coordinates are. So this is 0, -2, and this is 2, 2. So first thing I want to do is identify the slope. So that's m. So if you remember, slope is the change in the y values over the change in x values. So if I look at my two y values, remember my ordered pairs are always x first, then y. So I'm looking at the y values. That is going to be, if you remember, kind of the vertical change. So if you remember from the Desmos, this is the vertical change from -2 up to +2. We drew that in red the other day. And then we did the horizontal change, which is the y, in green. That's nice to draw because then you really just need to count spaces versus actually trying to figure out what the difference between -2 and +2 is. So it's nice and easy to count spaces. So from -2 all the way up to +2, that goes up 4 spaces. Since it goes up, that's an increase of 4, +4. And then the x values, we go over 2, and since it's to the right, it's a +2. So the slope here is 4 over 2, which simplifies to 2. Now the y-intercept is actually really simple. You don't have to do anything but look at the graph. You're going to look at the graph, find the y-axis. That's this horizontal. Oh my goodness. That's the vertical axis. And then you just want to figure out where does the graph cross that axis. So you can see here is where the graph crosses the y-axis. It is at point 0, -2, and we just want the y value, so it's -2. Once you find the slope and the y-intercept, then we can take our two pieces of information and put them into our equation. So remember, y equals mx plus b is our formula. M is our slope, so that's 2. So y equals 2x. And then, I keep doing these backwards, sorry about that. I was making the slope negative by accident. So y equals 2x, and then the y-intercept is -2, so we're going to say -2. So there is my equation. Y equals 2x minus 2. Let's try another example. Okay, so we want slope and y-intercept. Slope is change in y values over change in x values. So if I look at this graph, this is 0, 4, and this is 3, 2. So you can see that the y values, I always do the y values first because that's what's on top of my ratio, but you could do the x values first. You just have to remember that they go on the bottom. So the y values going from a +4 down to a +2 is a decrease of 2 because it's going down. So we want to make sure we show that by making it a -2. And then the x values are going from 0 all the way over to a positive 3, which is an increase of 3. So from 0 to 3, you could also just look at the values in the ordered pairs, and from 4 down to 2. So that's where I got the negative 2, and that's where I got the plus 3. Drawing helps like we did in the Desmos, but you could also just look at the difference between the values. So there's our slope, negative 2 over 3. And then where it crosses the y-axis, there's the y-axis, there's where it crosses at positive 4. So now we're just going to take those two pieces of information and put it into our formula. Remember, y equals mx plus b. M is our slope, negative 2/3 x, and then b is plus 4. And there's our equation. Okay, just two more examples. I'll go through same steps, but if you're still having trouble with the slope, please send me an email, or as I think I mentioned in one of the other posts, if you go to YouTube and you just type in how to find the slope, you'll get thousands and thousands and thousands of responses. So you could literally watch anything and you can get some help that way, but I'm more than happy to help, or just come to my office hours. That would be another way to get some help. All right, so y equals mx plus b. For this first example, we need m and we need b. So m, we're going to go from here to here. Let's see, this is 0, 0, and this is 3, negative 1. So we go down 1 from 0 to negative 1, and then we go to the right 3. So my slope there is negative 1 over 3. And then this one is nice and easy. It crosses at the origin, so b is 0. Now when you write this, you can include 0. You could do negative 1/3 x plus 0, or you could just eliminate that part altogether and just leave it like that. Either answer is acceptable. Those are fine. Okay, one other example over here. Our slope here, if we start here, this is 0, negative 3, and this is 1, negative 1. So our y values, we're going from negative 3 up to negative 1. So that's an increase of 2. So that's a positive 2. That's our y. And then our x values are going from 0 up to positive 1. So that's also an increase. That's an increase of 1. So 2 over 1, or just 2, is our slope. And then you can see it crosses the y-axis down here at negative 3. So when I write my equation, y equals 2x minus 3. You can leave the 1 underneath if you want. Y equals 2 over 1. It doesn't really matter. Either way is correct. Oops. Okay, and that is day 2, writing the equation from a graph.